It's like a NASA space.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Nutmeg State Financial Credit Union's annual membership meeting. This is our 86th annual membership meeting. First on the agenda, we need to determine that we have a quorum. I believe we have about, the quorum is 15, or we have enough here in present. Done and online, so we have a quorum. Next on the agenda is the approval of the 2021 annual meeting minutes from last year. Beth Bunko.
Thank you, Luis. The board meeting, the annual meeting minutes from the 2021 meeting were distributed after the meeting last year, and I would ask for a motion that we waive the reading of the minutes. I hear a motion from Mr. Godbout, second from Mr. Petty. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. And now I need a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the 2021 annual meeting. Do I hear a motion? From Mr. Abramson, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second from Mr. Godbout. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Thank you.
Also, I just want to make a mention. I forgot to ask for a minute of silence to remember our members who passed this past year, and also for our armed forces, and also to remember Ukraine. Just a minute of silence, please. Thank you. Next on the agenda are the reports, and the first one is going to be the treasurer's report, and Mr. Holt is going to deliver that.
Thank you, Luis. Good morning, everyone. I am John Holt, the CEO at Nutmeg State Financial Credit Union, and I'm going to go through the treasurer's report first. But before we get into that, I just wanted to take also a moment to recognize all of those individuals that were impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, for those that have struggled with it and those that we've lost from the pandemic. I'd like to thank the board. If we can put up the display of the board, I'd like to thank them for all of they do, their support, their guidance, their governance through all of the things that go on here at the credit union. These folks put a lot of time into the organization. They volunteer their time, and we're beyond grateful for all the things that we do. I'd like to start first with the next slide with regard to going into the treasurer's report, which I'll do first, and then I'll go into the meeting with regard to the president's and chairman's report. But first thing I'd like to put up is the slide for net income. As you can see, as we've done in the past years, we compare the last 5 years of this particular item, and you can see we had a nice recovery in 2021 from our challenges in 2020 when the pandemic started, and we had some challenges with investment returns and loan losses, and that reversed itself in 2021 for a solid year. We can attribute this strong return not only to lower loan losses as opposed to 2020, but we can talk about how solid our loan growth was, our returns on loans, efficiencies that we've created internally with the operation, as well as positive impacts on the investments that weren't so positive in 2020. So as you can see, the past 5 years, we did very well in the area of net income, and we're very pleased with where we were. A little more challenges this year, but we'll get into that going forward. If I can have the next slide up. This is our net worth ratio, and for those of you that understand this or track this, I will basically give you an overview of it. It's the financial health of the organization, and you can see the last 5 years. This does change often based on our asset size, because this ratio is net income over total assets. And as you can see, The 13.91 for 2021 was much higher than in 2020, but because we have grown so much, that number is a little lower than perhaps what you're seeing for 2019. So solid growth, solid net income, and this 13.91 is well ahead of the required 7% by the NCUA for what we're required to have for capital. This means to all of you, our members, this means that the credit union is in a very strong place. And I would go so far as to say this is probably one of the highest in the country. So this allows us to weather different storms that happen, whether it's economic downturns, pandemics, what have you, but very solid numbers here. If I could have the next slide, please. This is total loans, and I mentioned a few minutes ago, our returns and net income were fueled in part by the strong performance in our loan portfolio. You can see the growth here, and the yields or the returns on these loans were also quite solid. This is all driven by solid returns in our mortgage and commercial lending business. In fact, we had a 17 million growth year over year in our loans, and some of the strength in our mortgage and commercial lending loan portfolio was offset by a slight reduction in auto loans. We've seen a pickup in auto loans, quite honestly, in 2022, but if you'll recall, you heard supply chain issues that went on in the country, chip shortages. So our auto loan business was a little lower in 2021. We're seeing a pickup in that already in 2022. If I could have the next slide up on total shares, there we go. You can see basically a flat year in 2021 compared to 2020. Most of the deposits that we saw come in 2020 from different things related to government stimulus money, related to unemployment, also related to our members saving money as they were unsure of where the pandemic was going to going and how that would impact them and their families. But this number is basically solid. Most of this growth in the shares did come from our checking account business, including the business checking accounts. As I mentioned in the loans, we've seen really strong, solid growth in our business lending and our business deposit area. So we're pleased with the total share returns that we saw and the growth, albeit slightly in 2021. This slide shows you a 5-year trend with regard to total assets. You'll see that we had a record in 2021. This is the highest asset size that Nutmeg has ever seen in 2021. This oftentimes is fueled by that deposit growth that I mentioned, and as well as the loan growth and the money that is essentially parked in our deposit accounts. So nice, steady growth. We're pleased that we broke that $500 million mark. That's always a nice milestone to get to within the credit union industry. And again, we're very pleased by that. And we know that, there'll continue to be growth, but we control that. We invest properly, because too much growth, as you saw from before, can also impact our net worth ratio. Last slide here, you'll see our total membership. That was basically also flat from 2020 to 2021. Most of the membership growth does come from our partnership with DMV, and those 4 offices that we actually have that have DMV services in them. We get a lot of new members through the DMV visits into our locations and the marketing to those individuals. I'll get into a few things that also impacted that number, including the opening of our newest location in Fairfield County in Norwalk. But those are the total memberships, 41,140. I need a motion to approve the treasurer's report, as that report is now final. Make a motion by Mr. Petty, second by Ms. Bunko. All in favor? Aye, motion carries. Next, I'm going to cover our president's and chairman's report together. I'll be presenting some of the things that we've done in 2021, and then I'll talk about some of the things that we're going to be doing in 2022. Just a few things. While we were all going through the pandemic, Nutmeg spent the last 2 years reflecting on important questions of who we are, what matters to us, and where we are headed. As a credit union, we recognize the need to expand financial services to all communities. We are committed to becoming more equitable, diverse, and inclusive for both internal and external members and employees. During our self-discovery process over the past few years, we crafted a value statement expressing our shared beliefs and to serve as the framework for our decision-making in a post-COVID world. So I just want to take a few minutes and discuss with the audience that what our value statement is. We believe prosperity for all people through meaningful social and economic relationships and ensuring inclusive and equitable access to resources. While at the same time we were looking at what is valuable to us, we also talked about what our mission statement was going to be. And you'll see on this screen here, and I have it on the next few screens, is to create a multi-generational prosperity throughout the Connecticut community through education, collaboration, and the support of local commerce. In other words, when we talk about this mission statement, our goal is to establish wealth in families that transcends from the grandparents to the grandchildren to create a legacy of economic security that passes from one generation to the next. So in other words, oftentimes you may hear the word 2Gen used, and that is where we are looking to help families with partnerships in the community that connect everyone and where we can help those families out become wealthy, financially stable, whatever their goals and aspirations are, and allow that to pass from one generation to the next. We will continue to support programs and nonprofits that help provide equitable access to financial tools and resources, education, workforce opportunities, and promoting justice. So you'll see a lot more on what we're doing with regard to our social impact initiatives within the community. We are inspired and we're motivated and determined to build thoughtful products and policies to build wealth in our communities. So again, you're going to hear a lot more about this, about our socially responsible initiatives as we work throughout 2022. With regard to some of the partnerships, I think most of you probably had seen that we opened a branch in Norwalk, as I mentioned, in Fairfield County. That was in partnership with the Department of Motor Vehicles. That is our third location with DMV services. And we also, as most of you probably know, have a location in Glastonbury where we have a AAA and a DMV and a Nutmeg branch in one location. So, and as a reminder, any of the places that we have a DMV location, North Haven, Milford, all of those locations have branches in them as well, Nutmeg branches. Some of the things that we also did in 2021 to help you, our membership, was to introduce a chat feature where there's a button on our website that enables you to chat with the Nutmeg consultants to help you with any of your banking needs, any questions that you have on your accounts. That is an alternative to calling into our call center. Sometimes that's just a little faster. We also enhanced our digital wallet enrollment. So if you add Apple Wallet or you got Apple Pay or Android or Google Pay, any of those alternative payment options, that has become much easier. It's automatically in the background, determines the qualifications and signs you up so that you can immediately start using those services at Nutmeg. Looking forward into 2022, the next slide, please. We will continue to work on our mission statement focus on products and services that meet our needs. We'll also continue to, as most of you may have heard, we'll continue to use our CDFI designation, which stands for Community Development, a Community Development Financial Institution. We did receive $1.8 million from a government grant, and that will be used to create programs and products that help the underserved, help the communities that we're part of. Many of you may recall our Working Wheels program that is part of our CDFI initiative. This is a priority that will be expanding this year. This program provides reliable and affordable transportation to those that may not be able to qualify or afford an auto loan. In addition to following our mission statement, we will be eliminating NSF fees at some point this year. So if someone overdraws their account, they will not get a fee. The item would not be paid, but that fee would go away. And for those of you that are familiar with our courtesy pay, privilege pay, overdraft program, we'll be overhauling that particular program to offer other products and services to users in the hopes of saving them money from one pay period to the next. Some of the other things that we will do in 2022 include really reworking, remastering our credit card and auto loan application. What our members will see when this new enhancement is put into place is the ability to seamlessly go from application to funding quite quickly, where the money is in your hands even faster than it already is. You'll also see a website redesign that will take on the scope of what our mission and our values is. And you'll see a lot more of the narrative and story around what we're doing, who we are, why we're doing things. So that website will be the face of who we are. And we're going to take some time based on this new mission statement and values that I talked about today. We're going to look at doing a brand reassessment and seeing how we can make all of the things that we're doing uniform in conjunction with our mission statement, our values. We are humbled to begin the next leg of our journey in molding Nutmeg into an even stronger and more relevant credit union for the next generation and the generations thereafter. We continue to appreciate the trust, the confidence, and support that you show us as we evolve our organization. We are bursting at the seams with new innovations and a renewed sense of purpose and mission as we take on 2022 together. While the last few years have certainly tested us all, I believe we are stronger as a team and better organization as a result. We are committed to a simple yet aspiring idea. Prosperity for all is possible and will make us more powerful as individuals and as a community. I appreciate all of the support the members have given us through these challenging times. I'm extremely excited about where Nutmeg is going, and I hope you are as well. I appreciate the time, and I will pause before we get an approval of the president's and chairman's report and ask if there's any questions from our membership.
No questions at this time.
Okay, with no questions from the membership, I will ask for a motion to approve the president's report. Motion by Mr. Godbout, seconded by Mr. Abramson. All in favor?
Aye.
The president's report is adopted and approved. At this time, I'm going to ask for Maria DeMarco, our chairperson of our supervisory committee, up to the podium. Maria.
Morning, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, everybody out there, if you are out there. First thing I'd like to do is acknowledge the other members of the supervisory committee and thank them for their hard work. Chuck Cole, Kristen Johnson, and Ed Jason, who was just recently appointed. In particular, I want to thank Beth Bunko, who was instrumental in helping me take over this responsibility, and I really appreciate all the support she's given me. As you know, the primary responsibility of the supervisory committee is to serve as a means of checks and balances of the credit union. We oversee the annual audit, and as a result of our duties, we make suggestions and recommendations to the board of directors on items that might be beneficial to the membership. We are responsible for reviewing the performance of the officials and employees to ensure that all of the compliance requirements are being met. In addition, we are responsible for overseeing the annual audit of the credit union and that it is completed in a timely fashion. As in the past years, the supervisory committee retained the services of 2 independent auditing firms to perform the annual audit. The results of the audit have been presented to the board of directors and are available to members upon request. I am pleased to report that the Nutmeg State Financial Credit Union financial reports and operations for the year ended December 31st, 2021 are in conformity with the U.S. generally accepted accounting principles. On behalf of the committee, I extend my sincerest appreciation for the outstanding support given to us by you, the membership, the board of directors, the staff and management team of Nutmeg State. You, our members, are a critical part of our growth of the credit union, and we urge you to contact us with any comments, questions, and concerns that you might have. Thank you all.
We need a motion to approve the supervisory committee report. I heard the motion from Mr. Godbout. Do I hear a second? Second from Mr. Abramson. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Next on the agenda is going to be the nominating committee report. Mr. Mike Petty.
Thank you, Louise. Good morning, everybody. My name is Mike Petty. I'm the vice chairman of the board. The nominating committee consisted of myself and Wally Abramson. This year, Mike Godbout's term came up for re-election. Mike has accepted another term. I would ask Madam Secretary to come up and cast one vote.
Thank you, Mike. I cast one vote in favor of the re-election of Mr. Godbout to the board of directors.
Thank you. That concludes the nominating committee report.
Now, Mike, are you going to do that? Sorry, am I doing that? I think you need to appoint us. You will get married.
Good morning. Back again, talk about appointments. I'm pleased to announce the movement of 2 associate directors into full board members, Maria DeMarco and PJ Chimini. I do need Madam Secretary to cast one vote to make this official.
Thank you, Mr. Petty. I cast one vote in favor of having Maria DeMarco and PJ Chimini elevated to full board members.
Thank you very much. That concludes my report.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the nominating committee reports. Do I hear a second? The motion from Mr. Abramson, the second from Ms. Bunko. All in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. And to other business, I have the distinct pleasure to announce today that 2 board directors emeritus have be retiring effective as of the annual meeting. And with a combined service of over 65 years to Nutmeg State Financial, we are so grateful for their service. I'm talking about Mr. Ron Russo, who is here present, and Mr. Charlie Sabia, who is online with us. I want to extend my appreciation to both of these individuals for their commitment and their time that they spend providing the on-the-board service to Nutmeg State Financial. Your contributions were amazing. We see that it's time for, and we just brought new additional blood now into the board, but we want to remember those who got us here. And Ron, thank you for your service. I mean, 35 years of this year. It's a long time. And Charlie, 30 years. So I'd like to round of applause for him. Would you like to say a few words, Ron?
Thank you, Luis. I don't have a lot to say. I can tell you that it is a long time, but I was very motivated to stay with the board because of all the incredible management team that was putting together what John Holt talked about today. And so I look forward to sitting on the sidelines and appreciating everything that's going to happen going forward. Thank you.
Charlie, I know you're online. Would you like to say a few words?
Hello, everybody. I'm going to ditto what Ron said. No, let me just thank everybody from the board. It's been a pleasure. It's been a very well learning experience for me. It's been an honor to serve for 30 plus years. I was hoping that all the membership will continue to be loyal and to follow what the credit union is trying to do going forward. I think in 30 plus years, or since I began as a member back in the late 60s, that the evolution of this credit union has been phenomenal. I have everybody from the board, the staff, previous presidents of the credit union and their staffs to thank, and thank the membership for being loyal to us. And it's been a good ride, and I'll miss everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Any other business, Charlie? You want to adjourn?
Yeah. Again, thank you everyone for coming to our annual meeting. Look forward to a great 2022. Thank you for your attendance. Thank you for your loyalty. Thank you to the team here at Nutmeg, my executive team, the management team, especially all the folks on the front line. I would be remiss not to recognize all of their hard work through the pandemic, their countless hours, making sure that you're served properly. They really stuck it out, and we are appreciative of everything they did. Again, thank you everyone for attending today, and look forward to seeing you next year. Bye-bye.